Hello and welcome to a surprise pop-up episode of the Online Course Creator Show. This is episode 76, and I decided to pop on weekly podcast schedule to record this episode, to share this episode with you, which is all around the Action Takers program that is currently has the doors open. And I just realized that I haven't spoken much about this on the podcast. So if you're not following me on Instagram or you're not on my email list, you probably don't know about it. And maybe you've seen it in those places and you're wondering if it's the right fit for you. So that's why I'm here. I'm just popping on to let you know what it's all about and if it's the right option for you and where you're at. I am definitely not aiming for this to be a long episode, so I am going to dive straight into it by really sharing with you what Action Takers is and why I created it. So Action Takers is a 6-week cohort-based group coaching program. So what that means, it's cohort style. So we have a specific start date and we have a specific end date. And it is set up in a way that in that time you actually take the action. You're an action taker, you take the action and you launch your course in that time. And it is set up in a way that everyone is launching at the same time, which creates this really fun environment. It also forces you to get out of your own way, out of all of those I don't have time excuses, and actually have it done because you have a coach supporting you as you go through the process. You also have the structure of the group coaching program. And you also have the community of everyone else around you moving towards the same common goal. And the goal of Action Takers is that you have fully done your launch by the time you finish in the program for the 6 weeks. So it is set up in a way that you literally cannot fail. Now, I created Action Takers because, quite honestly, I got really tired of talking to people who had plans for an online course but were yet to take action. They had given it quite a lot of thought though. So this is something that I saw over and over again through conversations and Instagram DMs. Actually, it happened a lot at networking events as well. When I told people what I did, they were like, I would love to create an online course. I've been thinking about doing this and that and the next thing. And also noticing at the start of every year, everyone says, one of my goals this year is to create an online course. And if I go and ask them at the end of the year how they went, most people didn't actually do it. Now, what I kept noticing was that competing priorities always seem to take priority. So that would normally look like what someone was already doing in a business. So providing services, doing live events that were hard to scale, a lot of people spending time traveling to see clients and then having to drive home at the end of the meeting and suddenly half their day or even their whole day is gone, but they're only getting paid for a small portion of it. Or, having tons and tons of clients who all require their time to show up. And that stuff is time consuming because you're literally swapping your time for money. And a lot of the people I talk to about creating an online course are actually really sick of this model. They are feeling tired. They're feeling like they're not getting rewarded for the amount of effort that's going in. It's impacting their family life. They're not getting enough time to spend with their family. Energetically, it's taking up all of their time. And it has an impact, right? But yet, it is easier to keep going with the thing that we're not loving than taking the chance on something new that actually could be way better suited to us if you just took action and did your first launch and put it out there. So that's why I created this program, because I saw this over and over and over again. And I wanted to create something that was specifically set up to get you to take action. Because you may have already, at this point, if this is you, you may already have purchased an online course that teaches you how to launch. You may have already been listening to podcasts and learning a lot that way, writing notes, like thinking about what your plan is. You may have actually done the groundwork on what your topic is going to be. Yet there's that lack of action. And action is really the most important piece. Like, you can have all of the information in the world, but unless you are going to put it into practice, it's actually worth not a lot. Not to mention, it's also taking up your time to be always learning and thinking and second guessing your plans. So Action Takers is about removing all of that surround stuff and actually getting you to take the action required to do a launch in 6 weeks. I wanted to talk for a moment about who Action Takers is the perfect fit for. And there's actually 2 different groups here. The first group is if you know that you want to create an online course, you've had that in the back of your mind for a long time, and maybe you're guilty of actually deciding that this is the year you're going to do it, but as the year goes on, each year you're like, well, time is running out on that. I'm too busy with my services and all of the things that I don't really love doing, but you keep doing them. And, you've done your homework around an online course, and you may also have scheduled your launch dates in, you've moved them back a couple of times, and yet it still hasn't happened. You are following other people in your niche and you see them doing really well with the topic that you want to teach on, and that just makes you feel even worse. You get a little bit of imposter syndrome. And again, your launch dates keep moving back, because who are you to go out there and create a course? You may have invested money and significant time into this already, yet you haven't taken action. But overall, you're actually a go-getter. You are someone who makes stuff happen. You're not afraid of doing the work. But when it comes to launching, there's something about it that makes you hold off a little bit. You just want to kind of dip your toes in and see if you can test it without really doing a launch. So while you are definitely sold on the lifestyle and the outcome that this business model can give you, something is holding you back from getting started. And for you, it is most likely the fact that you need more support. And that's exactly what Action Takers is. Now, as I mentioned, you may have already invested financially in this, and you may have already purchased a course about how to launch a course, yet it wasn't enough to get you into action. So again, that action is the most valuable piece. And that is where the wins are made, not from watching course lessons and spending all of your time learning, when you really need to take those steps, get into action, and get your course out there to the world finally. This is about making you make that a reality, and make it a reality within 6 weeks. Now, the other group that Action Takers is perfect for is for those of you who have launched before, or you already have an online course and you've launched it in some way, shape or form, whether that was a proper launch with a strategy behind it, or you just kind of like tested the market and found that you got cricket so that you didn't go back to it. It could also be that you've had some successful launches before, but it's been a long time between launches and you've found that you've fallen out of it. And even though you'd like to get back to it, you need that accountability and support, and you just really actually like to do it together in a group. So Action Takers is set up for all of these groups. It's about getting you out of your head, whatever that looks like for you, and getting you into action with that wraparound support every step of the way to actually help you see it through and get the results that you are after. So the way it is set up is that it's very much that wraparound support, so that you can go through the launching process feeling very supported, knowing that you've got the resources and the knowledge around you to actually see it through. So what it actually looks like is that we start off with a strategy. I am a launch strategist who has been helping people launch courses since 2015, and it's all I've been doing since 2021. At the start, we get very clear on what your offer is, if it's fine as it is, or if we need to tweak anything, and we look at your launch strategy from the very start to the very end and plan out specifically for you as an individual what your launch is going to look like, because some people are going to have launches that look slightly different to other people. So you get that personalized strategy at the start, and then we go through each week, week by week, we're actually doing the launch process together. Now, during that time, I am able to give you personalized resources to what you actually need in terms of any lessons you require, any tutorials you require. But there's no course area for this. So it's not a whole bunch of lessons that you have to get through. That is not the aim of this. It's all about you taking action. And if you require further support on something or you need help with a certain thing, then I'm actually going to share the specific lesson that I have in my course library, in my huge resource library that I have in my business. I will share with you what you need. So you're not spending all of your time watching videos or course lessons that don't relate to you. You're only getting what you actually need. You're taking action on that. And you have that accountability. So I'm going to give you the resources that you need, but then I'm going to be following up with you, see how you went with it and making sure that you're actually turning it into action. Now, another part of this that I want to speak about is that I will offer you mindset support. So as you move through the process, of course, there's going to be things that come up mindset-wise. It could be a little bit of imposter syndrome. It could be a bit of concern that your launch event isn't that good, or you're not giving enough away in it, or you're giving too much, like all of that kind of thing. Or who am I to actually show up and do this? And I also offer you support in terms of mindset around really putting yourself out there and getting the visibility that you need, that is required to get the attention on your launch so that you get the numbers that you need. So I will be pushing you every step of the way to actually do the things in your launch strategy rather than thinking I'll do that tomorrow. So it's really about getting in the game, getting past any like little mindset thoughts that come up, that like it is a safe place where you can share in the group exactly what's coming up for you. There is nothing that is silly or something that I haven't seen before. It's very rare that I get someone come to me with a wee mindset wobble that I haven't heard before. And I actually have the ability to help you move through whatever that is for you. If you don't know, I'm a qualified life coach. I have NLP training and timeline therapy training. So I'm able to move you past that block that you are experiencing right now. And we're able to move through that really quickly so that then you're able to continue taking action. Now, another part of this is accountability. Accountability is huge, and it is something, it's the reason we want to hire a coach in the first place, right? Having someone helping us along, keeping us accountable is so, so vital, especially when we're running a business, when usually it's only us in the business. It's hard to create that kind of like team dynamic. What you often need is a guide, someone holding you to your word, making sure that you actually follow through on what you say you're going to do, but also making sure that you follow through on what you say you want, which is huge. Now, you also have, because it's a group coaching program, you also have the group moving through the process together. So there's also that really supportive environment. I make sure that it's a really welcoming, safe place where you can share and feel safe in there and be vulnerable and tell us what's really going on. And there is no doubt that there'll be other people experiencing similar in the group as well. So it's that really supportive wraparound support that you need for your first launch or your successful next launch. So how it works in terms of timings and structure is that the doors close on this Thursday, the 25th of July. So that's when the doors close at 6 p.m. AEST, which is the time zone I'm in here in Brisbane. And then week one, so it's 6 weeks in week one, every week has a theme. So week one starts on the 29th of July. So that is the following Monday. Now, in between, or as soon as you sign up, actually, I will organise with you a time for a one-on-one call, which is a 60-minute call where we go over your plan with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that your launch strategy is set up for success. We also look at your offer and make sure that's on point, make any tweaks needed. So you really get that time for me to look at your overall strategy so that you're well set up to go into the 6 weeks. So week 1 starts next week, and I'll tell you about the themes of the days in a little minute, but we're going to have our weekly call on a Tuesday morning in the AEST time zone. So if you're in Australia and New Zealand, it will be Tuesday morning for you. If you are in the US, it will be your evening if you're on Eastern time, and I think around the early afternoonish if you're in PST. So if you are based in the US, this is definitely going to work for you. So we have the weekly theme, which I'll dive into again soon, and then we have the weekly coaching call. So that is all around supporting you through whatever it is on for that week. So I'm going to share with you the theme. I'm going to let you know based on your individual strategy what you should be working on that week, and there'll be time to ask questions and all of that kind of thing. There will be replays, so if you miss one, it's not going to be the end of the world. And then you also get access to me for coaching in between calls Monday to Friday. So this means that you can leave me a message and share exactly what's going on for you, and I will reply to your message and actually coach you through it. So there's always support on hand. So yes, we have the group coaching calls, but there is the wraparound support of that ongoing chat support Monday to Friday. There is also the ability to submit your launch materials, your launch assets. So thinking sales pages, webinar registration pages, or challenge pages, webinar slides, all of that kind of thing. Like, I help you, coach you on creating all of that stuff. But once you've created it, you can upload it, and I will actually do a review and audit it and tell you what you need to fix before you get it out there. So to me, this is the missing part that a lot of you need in order to succeed with launching. So to go from a launch potentially falling flat to one that succeeds, I find out there's a real lack of having anyone give you this feedback, and it is actually quite needed, which is why I wanted to add it to this program. So there is so much gold in that, and to be honest, this is worth thousands on its own. So I take the time to actually look at your work, and I will record a walkthrough video giving you pointers on what you need to improve or work on in order to get the results that you deserve in your launch. And if anything comes up out of that where you actually need some tutorials or any of that, like I mentioned before, I'm able to give you what you need to move forward. So let's take a quick look at the weekly structure. So week 1 is launch clarity and list growth. So this is where we are looking, in combination with that one-on-one call, we are looking at finding out exactly where you are now and create that action plan for the next 6 weeks. And I'll also share with you some quick list growth strategies that you need to start actioning immediately to go into your launch in the best position possible. Now, we're doing this really quickly. We aren't spending weeks and weeks in a pre-launch situation. We're actually bypassing that in Action Takers and getting you onto the main thing pretty much straight away. But this first week is going to set you up with a few quick wins. Then in week 2, we move on to your launch prep. So by now you've got like a really solid plan, and it's time to actually start creating those assets that you will need for your specific launch. So this will be social media content, webinar registration pages, sales pages, and launch emails. So we're deep in the actioning of this week, and I will be on hand to guide you every step of the way, give you feedback, and keep you moving forward. Then in week 3, we're actually diving straight into the launch event promotion. So this is where you will be promoting your launch event, getting as many people into it as possible. And it's also time to finalize any loose ends and get any final assets done. Then we're moving on to week 4, where you will actually be doing your live launch. So you'll be running your free launch event, whether that's a webinar or a challenge, and I will make sure you have everything you need to be set up for success in this area. I will be on hand to answer any questions and provide any mindset or accountability support you might need at this time. And this is where you are going to need it the most. And then in week 5, you open the doors and make your first course sales. So this is where it all culminates. And we're only on week 5 here and you're already making sales, which is incredible when you think of if you are one of those people who have had an idea for so long and then within such a short period of time, you can actually make it a reality, which is what Action Takers is all about. So one thing I really help you with in this stage is what content you need to share at what times of the doors being open to your course. I keep you going when you might feel like you want to give up. I help you through any niggles or doubts that you're having, all of that stuff. It all happens when the doors are open, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Then in week 6, you will be closing the doors or will have already closed the doors, and we're going to step into reflection mode, and that is all about debriefing your results and using the data that we get from that in order to plan for the future, because it's not about just doing one launch. And actually, my podcast episode that's coming out in a few days walks you through this specifically on how you should craft your launching over a 12-month period. So it's not about one launch. So we have to debrief our launches and really look at what happened and analyze them, get all the numbers, all of that great stuff, and use that to create a plan for your next launch. So that is how the 6 weeks go. And as you can tell from that, it is very fast moving. So it really is for those of you who are prepared to do the work, to show up and see it through, and you are committed to this. You just know that you could really, really, really benefit from having that kind of support. So if you want to check out Action Takers and find out more about it, definitely go and check it out at loublakely.com/action takers. You'll find all of the information there. You'll see some testimonials, some past results. You will be reminded of a lot of what I talked about today. You'll see all of the inclusions, what's included, all of that great stuff. And if it is something that is a good fit for you, then sign up. I'd love to have you in there. Just a reminder that the doors close this coming Thursday, the 25th, and we start next week. So hopefully you enjoyed that rundown of what's included in Action Takers. I hope to see you in there. And just to let you know, I have a couple of really good podcast episodes coming up as well, so stay tuned for those. Just a reminder that page is at loublakely.com/action takers. And also, if you want to find out more about it daily from between now and Thursday, come and follow me on Instagram. I'm at @loublakely_. Hope to see you over there, and hope to see you in the next episode as well. Bye for now. Thanks, course creators and go-getters. You're incredible, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit subscribe in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. If you'd like to find out more about what I offer, head across to loublakely.com. See you next time.